Hello, my name is Richard Longoria. I am a nursing student currently pursuing a Bachelor of Science in Nursing at Joyce University. I am in my last semester and I will be giving a presentation today over the QSIN competencies. The QSIN competencies consist of communication, patient centered care, evidence based practice, quality improvement, informatics, and patient safety. Communication and teamwork. All the medical field is a teamwork duty. There's no way to treat a patient by oneself. The doctor is important to give his assessments and diagnoses. The nurse is important to give his or her assessments and to relay important information about the patient to the doctor. And the CNAs are important for assisting the nurse out. All these people are important, and they must all treat each other as equals, who each plays a very vital role in providing safe care for the patient. One of the biggest issues which these members may face is seeing one person as lesser or greater than oneself. This is bad because if one were to see his or herself as lesser than the others, then one might devalue his or her opinions as well. The same can go true for someone who views him or herself as greater than the others. If someone were to see themselves as greater than the other people, then they would overvalue their opinions and knock down the opinions of others. This is bad because everyone has a role to play. Doctors are busy overseeing several different patients and thus do not have the ability to provide the attention which nurses are over a smaller group of patients. And even more so, CNAs tend to get a lot more exposure to patients than nurses. All are important. Patient and family-centered care involves doing what family members and patients want. Obviously, the patient is the one whose opinion matters most. However, in some situations, the patient is unable to make his or her own decisions. Therefore, it is important for the nurse to advocate for the major decision maker in the treatment plan. A doctor may think that he or she knows what is best for the patient. However, it is important that the nurse makes sure that the patient's wishes are fulfilled. The nurse has a chain of command in order to do such. Of course, the nurse would consult with the doctor, and if the doctor disagrees with the nurse, then the nurse can consult the charge nurse and then go up from there, even involving the chaplains who are there for the spiritual well-being of the patients and also to help out their emotional well-being as well. It is very important for nurses to empower patients. When patients enter into a hospital, that they are their most vulnerable. They feel weak and they're scared and worried that other people will see them as weak. Nurses need to do their best to advocate for these patients in order to protect their well-being both physically and emotionally. Evidence-based fact practice is important for nurses to use in order to validate the science of their discipline. Florence Nightingale, so many years ago during the Crimean War, first implemented statistics in the nursing field in order to help reduce the number of infections and hence the deaths of soldiers on the battlefield. Whenever these soldiers became wounded, their bodies were open to infections, and many would die by these infections. Florence Nightingale was able to prevent this and save many lives. In doing so, she legitimized the nursing field. Therefore, at the heart of nursing is always evidence-based practice. The nurse must be scientifically minded and know how to use science in order to support his or her facts and logic. Doing so will yield the best outcomes for the patient. The graduate nurse who is brand new to the field of nursing needs to utilize evidence-based practice the most in order to assure that his or her opinions are not only heard, but also that this nurse is acting in the best interest of the patients. Quality improvement is essential to any task. Quality improvement involves looking at what happened during the task and seeing what went wrong and what went right. Doing these things helps to ensure the betterment of the outcome of the situation. During this process, a nurse will take a patient's situation, say for instance, infection control. A nurse will look at all the different situations where patients had infections and then try to see why the patients got these infections. In doing so, the nurse will be able to reduce the number of infections by thinking critically and using evidence-based practice to implement better methods of infection control. Informatics is a very important aspect of the nursing field. Informatics is very important for all of medicine in general. During the third industrial revolution, known as the digital one, computers came into play and helped to simplify the lives of many people. During such, the old methods of paper charting were replaced with computer charting. Paper charting was useful in a way because it was simple to use and nurses were very familiar with it given the large amount of time that they had spent utilizing it. Computer charting, while difficult at first, once learned is the most efficient method of charting because it allows instant access of all information to all necessary parties available. This also helps to make sure that everyone is on the same page as to what happened with the patient. Perhaps one nurse gives a patient an opioid, and another nurse could also give an opioid, but would not do so because the electronic charts are actively updated and would notify the nurse of the previous opioid medication given not too long ago. This all in all allows for nurses to safely enact their duties with efficiency. Patient safety is the most important aspect of nursing. The reason being is to do no harm. Doctors must take a Hippocratic oath in order to perform medicine. Nurses, too, must observe these time honored traditions in order to protect patients. One of the biggest issues in nursing is medication errors. Sometimes nurses accidentally make errors which can harm patients. Nurses must use the other QSUN capabilities to help reduce this. Nurses must use quality improvement. Nurses must use informatics. Nurses must use communication. These three things will help when combined to protect the patient and keep them ultimately safe. But unfortunately, nurses are human beings and they will end up committing med errors eventually. Therefore, these nurses must commit to a just culture, and in doing so, they must admit to their wrongdoings so that way everyone can learn from the situation. However, there must be an environment where punitive measures are small in order not to discourage nurses from admitting medication errors. One of the worst things in the world is to live in a false perfection. False perfection is a lie. Nothing is perfect in this world. We all are flawed human beings. We all need to learn from our mistakes after we make them. We mustn't discourage others from learning. These are the QSIN competencies, and they are all designed with the purpose of bettering the field of nursing and improving the patient experience and outcome. The QSIN nursing competencies are communication, patient-centered care, evidence-based practice, quality improvement, informatics, and patient safety. These together will better the field of nursing.